Welcome, everyone, to the 2021 Community Enhancement Through Architecture and Design Awards, brought to you by the Iowa Architectural Foundation. I am Tiffany Johnson, and I will be your Master of Ceremonies for this evening's event. First, we'd like to ask you to join us in taking this opportunity to thank our sponsors. Many thanks also to Principal Financial Group, Mark Moen, Connie Wilson Design, the Des Moines City Manager's Office, OPN Architects, Newman Monson Architects, ASI Signage, and RDG Planning and Design. We want to express a special thanks to AIA Iowa for their support in establishing the Impact Endowment to benefit the IAF. If you believe that architecture is important, please consider making a planned gift to this endowment by contacting the Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines. IAF was founded 32 years ago because architects felt it was important to educate the public about architecture and urban design, starting with young students and continuing with adults. Architecture affects us every day in so many ways, yet we can often take it for granted and not realize the important role it plays in our communities. Our architecture is one of the enduring aspects by which our culture is judged, by ourselves and by others. It is a window into who we are, what we value, and how we choose to live our lives. IAF is a 501c3 organization, and our mission is to inspire an appreciation of architecture and design. The Iowa Architectural Foundation plays a big role in promoting Iowa's identity through architecture. We initiated the Community Enhancement Through Architecture Awards because we feel it is important to recognize the people and organizations who practice architectural stewardship and high standards in design. We are thrilled to gather this evening to recognize the 2021 winners of the Community Enhancement Through Architecture and Design Awards. The purpose of the awards is to recognize individuals, organizations, or communities outside of the architectural profession who have had a significant, sustained, and positive impact on the quality of life in Iowa through their support of architecture and urban design. Past recipients of this award are John and Mary Papa John, Grinnell College, the Ruan family, the University of Iowa, the Greater Des Moines Partnership, and the City of Des Moines. A committee comprised of architects and non-architects made the selection for this year's award recipients. Our first award recipient is the Principal Financial Group, headquartered in Des Moines. Principal started building its campus in 1939, more than 80 years ago, with the construction of its headquarters building at 711 High, designed by the Des Moines firm of Tinsley, McBroom, and Higgins. Principal Financial Group was then known as Bankers Life, and their beautiful Art Deco headquarters was hailed nationally as one of the most modern buildings in the country. In fact, Architectural Record magazine christened it the Building of the Decade because of its many unique and innovative systems. The company's leadership clearly understood the building's significance, as well as impact it would have on the current and future employees. 75 years after it was designed, Principal had an opportunity to reimagine its environment and work practices. With the guidance of OPN Architects, the insurance giant made a transformative renovation and restoration of its iconic headquarters and the entire campus at a cost of $400 million. This is the largest project downtown Des Moines has seen in years. Other buildings of note on the Principal campus include 801 Grand and 750 Park. In the 1980s, the company's growth brought a name change, the Principal Financial Group, and with it, a new building to reflect that growth, 801 Grand. They commissioned the firm of HOK out of St. Louis, which was known for its daringly modern forms. With 44 stories, the postmodern skyscraper had the distinction of being the tallest building in Iowa and has forever changed the downtown skyline. The top half of the granite tower features a series of terraces and setbacks, and the building is topped by an 8-sided pyramid clad with copper. It was named as one of the 50 most significant Iowa buildings of the 20th century by AIA Iowa. Another significant building on Principal's campus is 750 Park. Designed in 1996 by now deceased German-American starchitect Helmut Jahn, whose work spans the globe. The Z Building, as it is referred to by some, reflects Jahn's interest in architecture that emphasizes engineering and innovative structure. A great asset to the campus is the award-winning landscape design by Peter Walker of California, which creates a triangular plaza between buildings that is glorious to look out on, to sit in, or to walk through.
You know, our single largest motivation was creating a workplace for the future, for our employees to come to work and be actually genuinely excited about being here. Now, that was pre-pandemic, but things are sort of coming back to what we had first envisioned. Large open spaces for people to do their best work, allowing our customers to come in and have meetings and discussions with our employees. So the motivation in large part is built around our employees as well as our customers. You know, Principal and our predecessor name, the Bankers Life Insurance Company of Des Moines, Iowa, we've been around for 142 years. The very building we're standing in here today was started construction in 1938, finished in 1940. And our board of directors understands the Midwest values. It understands the importance of this building. So our board of directors was pretty quick to say, this is where we want to be long term. We want to enhance the experience, significant upgrade in technology, significant upgrade in the physical appearance and modernizing of the building. Pre-pandemic, we would see about 350 to 400 clients from outside the United States, from some of the largest pension funds and sovereign wealth funds, come to Des Moines, and they would come to this very building. So it's important, and it is a bedrock not only in our community, but it is to our company as well. It was a 7-year project. The essence was making sure that we kept everything that was historically important, these brass doors and the brass railings and the cupping that's occurred on the treads of the stairs as you go up and down. As I was coming down today for this interview, I was thinking to myself, there's, literally 80 years of foot traffic that's cupping it. And we looked at that as being significant and historically important. If it wasn't historically important, and as you know, buildings that get older in time, suspended ceilings and some other features that have been added, were not historically accurate. So we wiped those out. So it's the best of both worlds. It's all about the future as well as embracing all the things that were so positive about the past. This very lobby that we're standing in, it's now 4 stories. It used to be just a story and a half. There's a 60-foot high, 16-foot wide LED screen that every single one of our customers that comes in on the first floor or the second floor will see this. And we're able to use it as a way to communicate our core values here at Principal and what it means to be doing business with a company like Principal or as an employee. The second feature is the atrium. This building was added on to twice after the original construction, and it created a donut hole in the middle of the building. By lifting off that roof and moving it up to the top, to the 7th floor of the building, we created an atrium, and it has become the area where our employees convene. It's where they can casually have a cup of coffee, do their work, and because the technology is so widespread throughout the building, there's no shortage of bandwidth for people to be able to do their work. And so the idea is, you can go to what I'll call a traditional place to do your work, or you can do it in a hallway, you can do it in a convenient place, whatever is most suitable to you that allows you to do your best job here at the Principal. We want to make sure we can attract and retain talent to the organization. We want to be customer-centric. We want to create a working environment for our employees that's conducive to their helping our customers. We also want to make sure that we're investing for the future. And when we think about investing for the future, we wanted a space where people felt that they could really do their jobs and do it comfortably and do a great job for our customers and do that throughout this entire campus. And so one aspect of this building, which I still find very unique, is just like originally it was created in these open floor plates. that allows people to see one another. They see the foot traffic. It doesn't have cubicles, so you can see people, while at the same time the workstations and the acoustics were designed in a way that we could still have a private conversation and not have that leak out into the entire floors. And then also all of the skywalks connect the buildings at the same floor. It's at the third floor of the buildings, and so you can make complete loops. It's an easier building to navigate once we adjusted the skywalks to make it more convenient for foot traffic in the organization. And let's face it, sometimes winter can be a little tough here. It allows for employees to, once they get on campus from the covered parking lots, to really go out throughout the entire campus and never have to take their coats with them if they don't want to. Well, the Principal Riverwalk was really first about taming the river as it went through downtown Des Moines and trying to really mitigate flood damage that the city fought for years and years and years. And again, this goes back to Dave Hurd and Dave Drury and Barry Griswold, former CEOs who've always maintained strong working relationships with the city to see if there wasn't a way to not only get flood control, but also to get recreation to be part of that. And so it was a project that was well in excess of $100 million. Principal was the lead sponsor for that. We have a beautiful bridge that's been recognized as architects as being a quite unique feature for Des Moines. It's become, from my perspective, quite iconic. Now, what's even perhaps more interesting is, in my leadership role for the ICON, or the Central Iowa Water Trails, the idea now is to not only have safe spaces on each side of the river and create a flood mitigating capability, but equally as important is now how do we activate the waterway for recreation, and so kayaking and canoeing and safe fishing. And so that project is sort of the second phase of the Principal Riverwalk, but it not only impacts downtown Des Moines, but more importantly, 80 plus different entry points along hundreds of miles of streams and rivers that feed into the Des Moines and the Raccoon that are going to allow us to really, really enjoy that for attracting talent, retaining talent, recreation, water quality, and flood control. So a really exciting second phase of the investment of the Principal Riverwalk, and we're honored to be part of that initiative. When I think about quality of design and quality of life, I can't say enough good things about how helpful they were to us not to make bad decisions, to make good choices. I'm not talking about colors of carpets and the color palette. It had way more to do with things like acoustics. How do you use your space? How do we create a really warm environment that people really want to come here and do their best work? And architects are an invaluable part of any building project, and so obviously are the people involved in the actual construction. But that architect's vision, and I remember being in the atrium, and it had been completely gutted. It was a black space, it was cold, it was January, it was cold, and I had a set of those VR goggles that allowed me to look throughout that space in a panoramic way and see exactly how that was going to look, including the art on the walls. And I think that the technology that's advanced construction and our ability to see the future, you get comfortable with making those decisions much quicker. And so, it's the full package that the architect brings to the equation that really helps us ensure that the end product is one that our employees and customers are really going to put great value in. The Community Enhancement and Design Award is one that we take great pride in receiving here at the Principal Financial Group. We love Des Moines, we love being part of the Iowa narrative, and receiving this award is sort of the icing on the cake to a very significant project that we put in place. With great honor that we receive and accept this award on behalf of all of you who played a part in recognizing our work. I just want to simply say thank you, and it's been a real pleasure to be with you this evening.
750 Park and the Corporate Conference Center at 801 Grand were also included in the full campus renovation led by OPN Architects. Our next award goes to Mark Moen of Moen Group, who over the course of 35 years, along with his family, has worked tirelessly to help transform Iowa City into a sophisticated urban center. He has done this through architecture, using talented local architects working with Newman Monson in the majority of projects, and Rohrbach Associates for the Chauncey. Mark got his undergrad degree at ISU, where his favorite courses were about the study of cities and why people live where they do. He went on to get his law degree at the University of Iowa, and while there, fell in love with Iowa City. Moen's development work has been praised by some, criticized by others, but he delights in creating dialogue. As a kid, he wanted to build a glass house, and as you will see, he has built several in Iowa City.
My wife and I moved to Iowa City in 1976. Just had graduated from college and went to law school. I went to law school here. She was an urban planner and worked for the city. And then right out of law school, we started buying old buildings that really hadn't been managed very well and were in need of maintenance. And we would work on those after work ourselves. Sort of motto was to create property for students to live in that we would live in ourselves. In 1999, there was a major fire in a beautiful historic building that we owned downtown. It was called the White Way Grocery Store, and it was on Clinton Street in a very prominent location, and it just burned to the ground. So that was the first time that we were faced with what do we do with this lot. We talked to other developers, and they really weren't interested in it because it was too small to put parking. And they were all doing 4-story buildings at the time. So we sort of got thrown into the development business. And so that was in 1999. We opened that building in 2000, which was a large restaurant, and then I think 40 apartments up above. And it was 6.5 stories, 6 stories with a 2-story loft on the top. And it was just so much more fun for me than practicing law. I had sort of gotten burned out on law practice. What I learned was what a push it was to get the city and the community to embrace something a little different. It was just fun for me. I mean, it was just like happy people, very different. I practiced trial law, which was very confrontational, and it was just time, and it was a great opportunity for me to get involved with a different career. So I wound down my law practice, and then we built another building called Vogel House, which was much more contemporary, all glass. And that too was very controversial. A lot of resistance in the community. It was next to historic buildings. And my personal aesthetic is I love the combination of historic buildings mixed with contemporary architecture. And so it was kind of an education process for the community, I think. People that had really resisted that originally when it got built really, really liked it. Actually, some people that had written editorials against it ended up living in that building. We had a lot of people moving into Iowa City from the East and West Coast because of the university, and realtors were telling me they were always asking for downtown housing, and there was none at all. So we decided to try and do something larger that would attract the permanent population, which is the building that we're in now. And so this was an acre of ground that was vacant for 40 years after urban renewal. There were many, many false starts in developing it. There was going to be a cultural center, a Dayton's department store was supposed to go here. There were many different things, and they just, for one reason or another, didn't happen. There was, huge controversy over the size of the building, the market that it was intended to attract. But all those things ended up being a great success. On the Ped Mall, it was an old bar called Vito's. The building was in disastrous shape. It's an 1800s building. We bought that several years ago and a true renovation project. Not just like we fixed it up, but Newman Monson did all the design work. Macoma Cecina did all the construction. But we have film scene at the Chauncey building, the movie theaters, but we were looking for temporary housing for them because it was going to be so many years before Chauncey was done. And after we bought that Vito's building, I was in there poking around and realized there was a large section that was 2 stories inside. And I thought that what a great space for a movie theater. So this broken down bar ended up being a beautiful office on second floor. We put an elevator in and put this really, it's an award-winning office, Modus Engineering. The design, I mean, it was amazing how they fit this theater into this space. And in the first year, they sold 55,000 tickets in a 65-seat theater. And I mean, that's just one of my favorite projects. And part of it is the film scene organization is just amazing to work with. So one of the things that I'm committed to, Monica, my ex-wife, is committed to, and my partner Bobby Jett was involved in the business too, is we won't cut corners. We just won't cut corners. It's very important to me. I've always been very passionate about design. Our goal was to provide really quality housing. I mean, the apartments range in size from 500 square feet to several thousand square feet, so they're all sizes. So it wasn't about necessarily huge space, but it's about really quality space. Broadly speaking, I think that the projects we've done have highlighted that there is a market for permanent housing downtown, and hopefully for quality construction and quality design. For example, in this building, we have over 1 million people a year that come through the building. I think people don't even necessarily recognize why, but it's just a happy feeling. I mean, it makes me very happy to see the impact it has on people's emotions. It certainly spurred on other developers to build, larger buildings. There was really nothing of any height downtown until we did this building. There's a skyline now in Iowa City. We hold a lot of events and benefits in our condo here, and we had people that were on the city council that were voted against, like Chauncey Project, and they came to an event in our condo, and after all those years of lawsuits and fighting it, they said, well, we see what you're talking about. And I think that, it's very impactful to actually get to see, you stand on the street and you look up and it's like, what's up there? But if you're able to get up into those units and see, I think it's really important. And what's interesting is we have people of all ages, like 20s to 90s, living in these buildings. And when we were first selling condos, the people that were older were asking about, is it going to be quiet? Is it going to be all older people? And I thought they were wanting to make sure that it was going to be quiet. What they wanted to make sure is that they were not going to be in a retirement facility. They wanted activity. They want to be downtown. They want to be around students. Students are, there's some trade-offs, but the students are amazing. Amazing energy, great senses of humor, very creative. So it's been a really fun city to develop in. It's really it changes during the day and evening, but it's a 24-hour city. It seems a little odd, but what I really like about developing in Iowa City is people are so passionate about downtown Iowa City. And so you get a lot of opinions. But I honestly really enjoy that. If we were just doing buildings and it wasn't attracting any attention and it wasn't getting people's emotions stirred up, I don't think it would be nearly as much fun. I had no idea I was being nominated and was just blown away. When I look at the other people that have received it, it's amazing. And it's not just me. It's Monica, my ex-wife, and Bobby, and my brother Mike. We're huge supports. So I told them I felt a little sheepish that it was in my name, but it's a huge honor.
We hope you've enjoyed spending time with us, admiring some of Iowa's finest architecture and urban design. Please be on the lookout for us next year as we meet, hopefully in person, to celebrate the efforts of Iowa's companies and individuals' support of great architecture. Now, grab a glass of bubbly, and let's toast to our 2021 winners. Please remember that IAF depends on the generosity of our donors, and feel free to make contributions by check or through our website by visiting iowaarcfoundation.org. Once again, many thanks to our sponsors, our board, and everyone who contributed to our production. And that concludes our program. Enjoy your evening and go see more architecture.